Good afternoon, Ma'am Dayan and Ma'am Joyce.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
Salamat po sa pag-accept sa akin sa sa meeting. We'll start in 4 minutes at 2 p.m. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Test mic. Test mic.
Alright, good afternoon, everyone. It's 2 o'clock p.m. Let's call the meeting to order. Secretary, do you have a quorum for this afternoon?
Yes, sir, we do have a quorum for this afternoon.
Can we do a quick roll call, please? Thank you.
Good afternoon. This Bac Charlie meeting is being streamed online via the CAAP YouTube account. Please acknowledge once your name is called. Our presiding officer, Attorney Roberto Martin Bonaventura,
Present.
Lieutenant Colonel Valentino Janela, Miss Josephine Shi,
Present.
Mrs. Maris Gabriel,
Present.
Yolanda Ines Briñas.
Present online.
From our end user, from the AGMS, Architect Emerson Salas.
Present.
To the Bac Technical Working Group, Attorney Frank Edward Martin,
Present.
Attorney Edilisa Irugin,
Present po.
Engineer Hubert Damatak, Engineer Jokeran Joseph Torrefranca, Engineer Michael Macabenta,
Present.
Engineer Ludita Hubay, and Miss Maria Cristina Balonan. For the Bac
Present
Secretariat,
online po.
good afternoon, ma'am. For the Bac Secretariat, our overall head, Dr. Rolly Bayaban, yours truly, Irish Pression, Attorney Bo Masiglat, Engineer Sonny T. Villobert, and
Present po.
good afternoon, sir. And our minutes taker for today's meeting, Miss Nina Cristal Ramasanta. Sir, also in attendance are the other members of the Bac Secretariat and our observers from the DOTR, Mr. Abelardo Sore.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, sir, from the COA and IAS, sir, and the Procurement Division. We also sent our invitation letters to the PCCI and ASFI. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Okay. There being a quorum, let's already proceed to the primary items in the agenda. The first item for today's agenda is the pre-bid conference for Basco Airport Development Project 2019. Widening of stopway, expansion of apron, runway, and taxiway asphalt overlay, including slip width correction, which is a rebid of an ADMS DOTR downloaded project amounting to 142,382,247 pesos and 72 cents. Do we have prospective bidders for this?
Yes, sir, we have 4 prospective bidders for this, sir.
Sige, let's admit them already and maybe they can have some introductions. Thank you.
To our prospective bidders, good afternoon. Ma'am, ma'am, sir, I would just confirm that you are interested for the Ozamiz project. Please, for the Basco project, uh, please introduce yourself and the company that you represent. May we start from uh, hashtag venture. What about from FinMat? From SM Castro?
Good afternoon po. I'm Edward Simon from SM Castro po.
Thank you, sir. Do we have other bidders online? Sir, I think there are bidders online, but they are not responding, sir.
Sige. In any case, if they have questions, we'll recognize them again. Let's already proceed with the presentation of the TWG on the bid documents for this project.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, and to the members of the Bids and Awards Committee. I will be presenting the project Basco Airport Development Project. Allow me, sir, to pull up my presentation. So again, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to our prospective bidders. This is the pre-bidding conference for the Basco Airport Development Project, particularly for the widening of subway, expansion of apron, runway and taxiway, asphalt overlay, including strip width correction. This is a rebid project, and the bid number for this is 21-015-07 Charlie. Please take note that the bidding documents are available online, and they can be downloaded from the PhilJeps and um, CAAP website. So I will be discussing the highlights of the bid documents, and towards the end of my presentation, the bidders are allowed to ask questions and clarifications. So for ITB Clause 1.0, the procuring entity is, of course, the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, and particularly the name of the contract for this project is Basco Airport Development Project, widening of subway, expansion of apron, runway and taxiway asphalt overlay, including strip width correction, rebid. So bid number is 21-015-07 Charlie. The funding source under ITB Clause 2.0 is the Government of the Philippines under GAA calendar year 2018 from the DOTR downloaded projects in the amount of 142,382,247 pesos and 72 centavos. In ITB Clause 3.0, so we required the submission of Certificate of Site Inspection, which to be signed by Ms. Louis Asentor, the officer in charge of the Basco Airport Development Project, officer in charge of the Basco Airport, or her duly authorized representative. The Certificate of Site Inspection shall also attach the company ID of the person who conducted the site inspection, copy of the airport or facility visitor's logbook, picture of the proposed site including the person who conducted the site inspection together with the airport manager or the officer in charge or her duly authorized representative. So bids not complying with above instruction with these instructions shall be disqualified. So please take note of that. Under ITB Clause 3.0, we are showing here the sample form for the site inspection. These are available forms attached in the bid documents. So illustrations of the company ID and the visitor's logbook. So we go now to ITB Clause 5.2. For this purpose, similar contracts shall refer to concreting or asphalting of roads or other horizontal structure. So the contract should have the same major categories of work. So under ITB Clause 7.1, it is expressly provided that subcontracting is not allowed. ITB Clause 10.1, the bidder shall submit the eligibility technical documents as specified in the checklist of the technical and financial documents. So we will be discussing in full later the technical and financial documents. For ITB 10.3, pickup, valid pickup license or special pickup license in case of joint venture. And the requirement for this is medium A, category B for horizontal works, that is road, highway pavement, railways, airport, horizontal structures, and bridges for the type and cost of the contract to be bid. So this is the license requirement. So bids not complying with this requirement shall be disqualified. So for the minimum work experience required for key personnel, the project requires to have like project engineer, geodetic engineer, materials engineer, construction foreman, safety and health officer. So they are required to have at least 5 years in general engineering and with 3 years in concreting or asphalting of roads and other horizontal structures, rehabilitation and repair. Again, we strictly require these items, and bids not complying with the above requirements shall be disqualified. For ITB 10.5, for the minimum equipment, in your screens right now are the minimum equipment required for this project. These equipment are also included in the bid documents that can be downloaded sa PhilJEPS and sa CAAP website. So just take note of these requirements, and bids not complying with these requirements shall be disqualified. So under ITB 11.1, discounts stated in the financial bid form should be computer written and with the same font and size as of the whole text of the said form. So those discounts that are written, handwritten, typewritten, or computer written in other font style and size shall not be considered. We are also very particular in this, and that bids not complying to these instructions are shall automatically disqualify the proposal. So ITV 11.1, for the second envelope, the financial component under Section 10, Checklist of Technical and Financial Documents, it is required to submit the original copy of the duly signed and accomplished financial bid form, bill of quantities, detailed breakdown of component of each item, detailed unit price analysis or the DUPA, summary sheet indicating unit price and construction materials, labor rates, equipment rentals, and use in coming up with a bid, cash flow by quarter and payment schedule. So these forms are also included in the downloadable bidding documents. So please take note, however, that any modification and or alteration on the stated requirements in the financial document forms, BOQ, detailed breakdown of component of each item, and DUPA shall not be allowed. So many of our bidders were disqualified due to this particular item, yung modification and alteration. So just strictly conform with with the provided forms. So applicable CAAP BAC standard forms included in the Philippine bidding document shall be complied with in accordance with the prescribed forms under Section 9 of the bidding forms. So I will show later the sample of the bidding forms under Annex A and B. So again, bids not complying with these instructions shall be disqualified. In ITB Clause 11.2, bid exceeding the above ABC of the project shall be disqualified, of course. And under 15.1, bid security in the form of bid security declaration, it shall follow the following forms. So, number 1, the amount of not less than 2% of the ABC if the bid security is in cash or cashier or manager's check, bank, draft, guarantee, or irrevocable letter of credit, or the bidder also has the option that to submit the amount of not less than 5% of the ABC if the bid security is in surety bond. So in ITB 16.0, each and every page thereof shall be initialed, signed by the duly authorized representative of the bidder. So there should be pagination and it should be initialed. Submitted eligibility, technical and financial documents shall be properly marked with index tabs and must be sequentially paginated in accurate order in the form of, say for example, 3 of 100, 4 of 100, 5 of 100. Page number of the last page of the document per envelope basis. Pagination should be sequentially based on the entire span of the whole document inside the envelope. So please be mindful of the pagination and the necessary um, initials in each and every page of the entire span of the document. So bids not complying with these instructions shall be disqualified. So just please take note also of ITB Clause 16.0. So we are providing here some illustrations of the usual table of contents, index tabs, and the sample pagination with the initial of the authorized managing officer or the authorized officer to sign. So bids not complying with these instructions shall be automatically disqualified. So we keep on emphasizing that non-compliance with this shall be a ground for just disqualification. 16.0, each bidder shall submit one original copy of the technical component and financial document. So we are only requiring one copy of the technical component and one copy of the eligibility documents and as well as the financial eligibility. So one copy for the technical, one copy for the financial. All envelopes must be labeled as follows. So there must be a name of the contract to be bid in capital letters, the name and address of the bidder in capital letters as well, name and address of the procuring entity, BAC identified in the ITB Clause 10.1. It should also bear the specific identification of the bidding process indicated in the invitation to bid. So it shall also contain the warning, do not open before, so the date and time of the opening of bids. So all these are indicated, should be in accordance with ITB Clause 21. Also, for ITB Clause 16.0, we are providing here for the consumption of those prospective bidders the addressee of the bid proposal. It should be to our Bids and Awards Committee Chairman, Captain Donaldo A. Mendoza. Here's also our telephone number and our contact details of the BAC. ITB 17.0, so the address of submission of bids and all communications and submissions shall be coursed through the back office. This is the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, Mir Road Corner, Aquino Avenue, 1300 Pasay City, Metro Manila. So the deadline for submission is on November 17, 2021, that is 10 a.m. So take note of the deadline of submission and the office where the submission should take place. ITB 18.0, again, this is the venue of the opening of bids. We will be opening the bids at CAAP Conference Room. So again, the date of opening of bids is on September 17 at 10 in the morning. 19.2, partial bid is not allowed. The infrastructure project is packaged in a single lot and the lot shall not be divided into sublots for purposes of bidding, evaluation, and contract of award. So, there. ITB Clause 20.0. The bidder with the lowest calculated bid shall comply with and is responsive to all the requirements and conditions shall submit. This is during the post-qualification. The following requirements. So you're required to submit the latest income and business tax returns, filed through the electronic filing and payment system of the Bureau of Internal Revenue, business license and permits required by law, so such as the registration certificate, mayor certificate, tax clearance, pickup license, etc. Letter C is the latest audited financial statement, and lastly, the key personnel. So the failure of the lowest calculated bidder to submit any of these requirements, these are the post-qualification requirements, should be a ground for disqualification. So under ITB 21.0, following documents, relevant project documents are required to be submitted by the successful bidder. So this is if the bidder is considered as the lowest calculated responsive bid. So they have to submit the construction schedule, bar chart, and S-curve, per CPM, network diagram, manpower schedule, construction methods, equipment, utilization schedule. So now I am showing some illustrations of the CAAP standard forms. These forms are available and are attached in the Philippine bidding documents for these projects. These are downloadable again at PhilJEP's and CAAP website. These are just the forms for the appreciation of our prospective bidders. So for the checklist for the technical documents, they have the bidder should submit an original duly signed omnibus sworn statement, and if applicable, original notary secretary certificate in case of a corporation, partnership, or cooperative, or original special power of attorney of all members of a joint venture, giving full power and authority to its officer to sign the OSS and do the acts to represent the bidder. And the omnibus sworn statement shall be accompanied by the following documents. Number one, certification under oath that certification under oath attesting that they have no pending case against the government, in addition to the eligibility requirements as prescribed under the 2016 RI Revised Implementing Rules and Regulations of 9184. Legal clearance, these can be obtained at our Enforcement and Legal Service of this is with respect to the non-pending case of prospective bidders against the authority. And lastly, for bid bulletins, if there is any. For the technical documents, class A, certificate of site inspection. Again, we already discussed this earlier. The person who will be issuing the site inspection and the attachments, company ID, airport logbook, and the picture of the proposed site. For the technical financial document, the submission shall include the audited financial statement showing, among others, the prospective bidder's total and current assets and liabilities, and it should be stamped received by the BIR or its duly accredited or authorized institution for the preceding calendar year, which should not be earlier than the 2 years from the date of submission of bids. The submission shall also include the computation of net financial contracting capacity, or the NFCC. If the bidder is a joint venture, then you also have to submit a duly signed and notarized joint venture agreement in accordance with RA 4566 and its implementing rules and regulation. And the JV shall also submit a duly notarized statement from all potential joint venture partners stating that they will enter into and abide by the provisions of the JBA in the instance that the bid is successful. For the second envelope, the financial component, the bidder shall submit the original copy of the duly signed accomplished financial bid form, the duly signed bid prices in the bill of quantities, summary of bid proposal, bill of materials and cost estimates, summary sheet indicating the unit price, says of construction materials, labor rates, and equipment rentals used in coming up with a bid, and cash flow by quarter and payment schedule. So there are forms applicable to each of these requirements. So just look into the forms as attached in the Philippine bidding documents. So we go now to the project technical details. So the duration for this project is 210 calendar days, inclusive of 20 rainy unworkable days. So the details of the work are best enumerated below. However, it is understood that the contract includes all works and services, though not specifically mentioned herein, but are needed to fully complete the project shall be undertaken by the contractor. So here are the scope of work for the project. Part 1 is the facilities for the engineer. Item A 1.1, number 10, provision of living quarters for the engineers, maybe on a rental basis. And item A 1.110, provision of 4x2 pickup type of service for the engineer. Under Part 2, general requirements, the following provision must be delivered within 7 days upon receipt of the notice to proceed (NTP). Item B.5, project signboard. This includes the provision of the project sign board placed within the vicinity of the airport. Item B.9, mobilization, demobilization, and this includes the mobilization and demobilization of the contractors, personnel, and equipment necessary for the work. Part 3, widening of stopway, including strip width correction. Item P152-4, unclassified excavation. So the volume of excavation 1 is 1,035.69 cubic meter. That is from station 0 plus 00 to station minus 0 plus 090. For volume of excavation 2, it's 355.43 cubic meters. And this is from station 0 plus 00 to station minus 0 plus 136.00. Total volume of excavation is 1,391.12 cubic meter, and the volume of the disposal is 104.33 cubic meter. Volume to be used for embankment is 1,286.79 cubic meters. Part 3, which is the widening of stopway including strip width correction, the item in P152.4.1A, embankment in place. So this is for the horizontal structures. The volume of embankment is 2,217.59 cubic meters. So the total required embankment here is 1,286.79 cubic meters. Plus the 20% compaction factor, which is 257.35 cubic meter. Item, we also enumerated here the items included in the scope of work, but all the details and elaborations for these particular items are included in the bid documents. So for part 5, runway strip width correction, clearing and grubbing, 150 millimeter thick. For item 152-4.2B, embankment from barrow excavation. Part 6, runway and taxiway asphalt overlay. Here are the items required, as shown in your screen. All scopes of work for the project must be in accordance with approved plans and specification. Quality and types of materials must be approved by CAAP project in charge. So for the general provisions of the contract, provisions for staff house, service vehicle, laptops, printers, camera, plotters, furniture, and other materials, devices, and equipment under the special item or temporary facilities shall not be included in the OCM and contractor's profit. The contractor shall be responsible in providing the safety perimeter fence or security fences, personal protective equipment for staff and workers on site while construction is ongoing. Safety reports should be prepared regularly. The contractor shall be responsible for all laboratory, material testing, building and safety permits, and survey instruments necessary in the project implementation. These expenses shall be incorporated in the contractor's overhead cost and shall not be considered as pay item. So just take note that this shall not be considered as pay item. At this point, I will be showing the site development plan for the appreciation of our prospective bidders. So here. Mhm. And once you purchase the bid documents, you will be provided with the plans and drawings as well in order for you to come up with your bid price for your estimates. So that's all, Mr. Chair. At this juncture, the technical working group together with the end user is now ready to entertain questions and clarifications from our prospective bidders. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, TWG. Sige, at this point, let's open the floor for any queries or clarifications from any of our prospective bidders who are present today. Just before you proceed with your questions, kindly introduce yourselves and the company that you represent, just for record purposes. Do you have any questions? Secretariat, I can't see kung may nag-raise ng hand or anything. Meron ba? Meron bang nagtatanong?
Wala, sir.
Wala. All right. If there's no questions, just to inform everyone, you have until 10 days before the scheduled opening of the bids, which is, in this case, what date will that be, Attorney Frank?
November 17, sir. So
November 17. Within which to submit your letters or your queries in written form, and we will answer them. Let's take note of the deadline po. So if you have questions that you did not raise today, you still have an opportunity to put it in writing and submit it to through our back secretariat, and we will answer them for you. Okay, if there's no questions for this meeting, may question hanggang today lang, sir? Hindi. When's the last day, Attorney Frank?
Uh, sir, just to clarify, sir, the prospective bidders, sir, are given until November
Yung
7.
17, Sunday yung 7. So Monday.
Oh, yes, sir. They still have until Sunday, November 8 to submit their questions and clarifications, sir.
Yes. Considering 7 is a Sunday, you can submit it on the 8th on
Yes,
Monday.
sir. Monday, sir.
And it will still be accommodated. Thank you. If there's no more questions, again, feel free po to submit them through writing until Monday. Thank you po. With that, we'll close this pre-bid conference for this particular item. Thank you for attending. Pa-inform na lang please if pwede na.
Sir, the room is already cleared.
All right, moving forward to the next item on the agenda, we have the pre-bid conference for construction of the new passenger terminal building phase 1 at Ozamiz Airport, which is also a rebid amounting to 222,023,935 pesos and 37 cents. An ADMS DOTR downloaded project. Do we have prospective bidders present right now for this?
Yes, sir. We have Dyson Construction, SM Castro, and Devlorn Ventures, sir.
They're already here in the room.
Yes, sir.
Okay. With that, sige, let's already proceed with the presentation from the TWG.
Okay, sir. We will just show. So, good afternoon to our prospective bidders. Welcome to the pre-bid conference for the Ozamiz Airport Development Project, which is for the construction of the new passenger terminal building Phase 1 at Ozamiz Airport. This is a rebid, and the bid number for this is 21-019-09 Charlie. So, please take note that the um, bid documents for this project is available online at PhilJEP's website. It can be downloaded at PhilJEP's at the same time at CAAP website. So for today, I will be discussing the highlights of the important items in the Philippine bidding documents for this project. So I will go straight to the ITB Clause 1.0. Uh, this is the procuring entity is a Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, and the contract is name of the contract is Construction of New Passenger Terminal Building Phase 1 at Osami's Airport Rebid. Uh, the bid number is 21-01909 Charlie. The fund source for this project is from the government of the Philippines through the GAA CY calendar year 2017, from the Department of Transportation downloaded projects in the amount of 222,023,935 pesos and 37 centavos. ITB Clause 3.0, so bidders are required to submit a certificate of site inspection, and this form is available also attached in the bid documents, and it should be duly signed by Mr. Edwin Luching, the officer in charge of the Samis Airport, or his duly authorized representative. Together with the certificate of site inspection, it is also required that the bidders to submit the copy of the company ID of the person who conducted the site inspection, copy of the airport facility visitor's logbook, picture of the proposed site, including the person who conducted the site inspection, together with the airport manager or officer in charge or his duly authorized representative. Please take note that failure to submit this shall be a ground for a disqualification. So here is the sample site inspection form. This is downloadable, and these are the illustrations for the company ID and the visitor's logbook under ITB Clause 3.0. ITB Clause 5.2, for this purpose, similar contracts shall refer to building, construction, improvement, or rehabilitation, repair. So the for purposes of single largest completed contract, it should have similar or same major categories of work with this item. 7.1, subcontracting is not allowed, and under 10.1, eligibility and technical documents shall be submitted under section 10, checklist of technical and financial documents. 10.3, the pickup license required for this is medium B license, category A for vertical works, buildings, and industrial plant for type and cost of the contract to be bid. So failure to meet these requirements shall be a ground for disqualification. Here are the key personnel requirements, the minimum required experience. So we require project engineer, electrical engineer, mechanical engineer, master electrician, master plumber, construction foreman, safety, and health officer. So all of these should have like a 5 years experience, general experience in general engineering, and should have at least 3 years in concreting, asphalting of roads, and other horizontals and rehabilitation. Bids not complying to the above instructions shall be disqualified. Ay, sorry. Oh, wait, I think my my screen is not moving. Wait lang, sir. Exit ko lang po muna. Apologies for the technical problem. Wait. Ayan, there we go. So, for the minimum major equipment requirements, I'm in your screens right now are the required equipment to be used in the construction. So all these requirements as well are indicated in the invitation to bid as well as in the bidding documents. So just take note of the requirements, and be it noted that failure to comply with to comply any of these equipment requirements shall be a ground for disqualification. ITB 11.1, discount stated in the financial bid form shall be computer written with the same font, style, and size as of the whole text of the said form. So those discount written, handwritten or typewritten, which are not similar to the entire text of the font, shall not be considered and shall be a ground for disqualification. Under ITB 11.1, the second bid envelope shall contain the financial documents for the bids as specified in Section 10, checklist of the technical and financial documents. And these shall include the original, duly signed, and accomplished financial bid form, bill of quantities, detailed breakdown of component of each item, detailed unit price analysis or the DUPA, the summary sheets indicating the unit price of construction materials, labor rates, and equipment rentals used in coming up with the bid, and cash flow by quarter and payment schedule. So these items, yung form po nila, nakapaloob din po dun sa Philippine bidding documents ng project na to. So, and I will be showing later the documents. Please take note, however, that any modification or alteration in the stated requirements in the financial document forms, including yung sa BOQ, detailed
Sabi ni
breakdown of
Sandante.
component
Ikaw lang ba
of
talaga
each
nagtitinda niya? Wala ibang kaya magtinda niya?
So, applicable CAAP standard forms included in the PBD shall be complied with in accordance with the prescribed form under Section 9 bidding forms, which is in Annex C. So remember, any alteration or modification shall be a ground for disqualification. And we are very particular on this, especially on the financial component envelope. 11.2, bid exceeding the ABC of the project shall be disqualified, and ITB 15.1, bid security may come in bid securing declaration or on any of the following forms and amounts. So, pwedeng cashier's cash, manager's check, or bank draft, guarantee, irrevocable, and the cost of it is, and the amount of it is should not be less than 2% of the ABC. And kung surety bond naman, pwede namang surety bond, but it should not be less than 5% of the ABC. 16.0, each and every page thereof shall be initialed and by the duly authorized representative of the bidder. So submitted eligibility, technical and financial documents shall be properly marked with index tabs, ear tab, and must be sequentially paginated in accurate order in the form of 3 of 100, page number of last page of the document per envelope basis. Pagination should be sequentially based on the entire span of the whole document inside the envelope. So, para sa mga prospective bidders po natin, please take note po na very particular din ang ang back dun sa pagination at saka sa signature ng representative ng bidder. So, ensure na properly paginated and mayroon siyang initials. So, we provided here some of the samples. So, dapat meron siyang ear tabs and index tabs here. So, if you can provide table of contents, better. So, this is the sample pagination, page 1 of, say for example, 75 pages yung document ninyo. Ganyan. And should have the proper initials ng authorized representative. Again, we emphasize that bids not complying to these instructions shall be automatically disqualified during the opening of bids. Each bidder under item 16. ITB Clause 16.0 shall submit one original copy of the technical component and financial envelope. So, isa na lang po yung requirement, isang envelope for technical at saka isang envelope for the financial document na lang po yung kailangan natin. And all envelopes must be labeled as follows: yung name of the contract to be bid in capital letters, name and address of the bidder in capital letters, name and address of the procuring entities back identified in the ITB Clause 10.0, and the labeling must also bear the specific identification of its bidding process indicated in the invitation to bids. And if you can, sana malagyan ng warning na do not open until the date and time which is indicated in ITB Clause 21. So, here is the kung saan po ninyo i-address yung bids proposal kay sa amin pong chairman na si Captain Donaldo A. Mendoza. And here is our address and the telephone number as well as yung website kung saan pwede ninyo ma-download din yung mga documents. Under ITB Clause 17.0, it is specific here that the address for submission of bids is at the back office. And naka-indicate po dito yung address po namin, Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, Mia Road, corner Ninoy Aquino Avenue, Pasay City. So again, all submissions shall be through our back office. So the deadline for submission of bids is on September 17, it's 10 in the morning. Ito po yung place, and yung opening of bids po namin is at CAAP Conference Room. So under ITB Clause 19.0, partial bid is not allowed. The infrastructure project is packaged in a single lot, and the lot shall not be divided into sublots for purpose of bidding, evaluation, and contract of award. So ITB Clause 20.0, the bidder with the lowest calculated bid shall submit the following documents during the post-qualification: latest income tax and business tax returns, business licenses and permits, latest audited financial statements, and the key personnel. So, failure of the lowest calculated bidder to submit these requirements should be a ground for this, should be disqualified, should be post-disqualified. Under ITB 21.0, the following are need to be submitted should the bidder be considered as the lowest calculated responsive bid. So, kailangan nyo mag-submit ng construction schedule, bar chart and S-curve, per CPM, network diagram, manpower schedule, construction methods, equipment utilization schedule. So, there. Now, we are now sa mga back standard forms. This is just a run through of the back standard forms, and etong mga forms po na pinapakita po namin ngayon ay mada-download nyo po sa PhilJeps at saka sa CAAP website. Kasama po ito doon sa bidding documents kung mag-download po kayo. these are just the sample forms para lang po ma-appreciate ninyo, para ma-emphasize lang po din na you have to strictly conform with the forms na pinrovide po ng bid documents. So, for the checklist of the technical and financial documents, for the technical component, yung omnibus sworn statement po, kailangan nakakasama po siya doon sa Annex Form B, number 7. And if applicable, the bidder shall also submit an original notarized secretary certificate in case of a corporation, partnership, or cooperative. The original copy of the special power of attorney of all members of the joint venture in giving full power and authority to its officer to sign the OSS and do acts to represent the bidder. So, ito pong omnibus sworn statement na isasubmit shall include also as an attachment to the OSS the certification under oath attesting that the bidder has no pending case against the government. Number 2, a legal clearance to be issued by our enforcement and legal service with respect to the non-pending case of the prospective bidder against against the authority or CAAP. And lastly, bid bulletins kung meron mang in-issue for this project. Also included in the technical component yung submission for the certificate of site inspection. So yung certificate of site inspection, meron tayong specific form na nakapaloob sa Annex B, and this has to be signed by Mr. Edwin B. Luching, the officer in charge of the Ozamiz Airport, or his duly authorized representative. Together with the certificate of site inspection, the following shall be submitted as well: company ID of the person who conducted the site inspection, copy of the airport or facility visitor's logbook, and a picture of the proposed site, including the personnel who conducted the site inspection, together with the airport manager or officer in charge or his duly authorized representative. So, this has to be included in the technical component. Also, for the technical component, under the financial documents, the bidder has to submit the audited financial statement for the last 2 years, which shall be stamped, which should have stamped received by the BIR or its duly authorized or accredited institutions, and the bidder's computation for the net financial capacity. For bidders who are joint ventures, they also have to submit a duly signed and notarized joint venture agreement, and this agreement should be in accordance with RA 4566 and its IRR. The duly notarized statements from all potential joint venture partners stating that they will enter into and abide the provisions of the JBA in the instance that the bid is successful. So, for the second envelope, the financial component, these are the contents of the financial envelope: the original or the duly signed accomplished financial bid form, the original or duly signed bid prices in the bill of quantities, summary of bid proposal, bid of materials and cost estimates, summary sheet indicating unit price of construction materials, labor rates, equipment rentals used in coming up with the bid, and cash flow by quarter and payment schedule. So, meron po siyang mga corresponding forms, and these forms are included in the bid documents that can be downloaded at PhilJEPS and CAAP. So, for the project technical details, again, this is for the Ozamiz Airport development, the construction of the passenger terminal building at Ozamiz Airport, and yung duration po nito is 570 calendar days inclusive of 43 rainy or unworkable days. So, this project, yung sa scope po nito, this project covers the supply of labor, materials, and equipment necessary. Sorry, this is for the. Sorry, apologies. This for the project, and the details of works are best enumerated in the detailed description as provided in the bid documents. So, ito po yung scope of works. Mobilization, demobilization under item 1.0, civil structural works. 1.01, excavation and disposal. Yung total volume po ng excavation and disposal is 17,222.40 cubic meters at 2.0 meters depth from the NGL. For embankment works, the total volume of embankment works is 8,611.20 cubic meters at 1.00 meter depth. Pile driving works, precast concrete piles, 443 sets, which is equal to 400 millimeter mm times 400 mm times 22 meters depth. Civil structural works, ang inclusion po niyan, yung concrete works, concrete pedestal, and manholes for electrical cables under 1.05. So, in your screens po yung details. Pero lahat po ng specifications, scope of works, ibibigay po sa inyo. Ang makukuha po dun sa Philippine bidding documents din ng project na to. At the same time, ibibigay din po yung plans and drawings ng BAC Secretariat. Pwede po kayong humingi sa BAC Secretariat. So, here is the scope of work under item 1.0, RMUs, transformer concrete pad with security fence, masonry works, steel works. Civil structural works, architectural works. So, that is for item 2.0. Architectural shall include ceiling works, wall finishes works, painting works. And yan po yung coverage ng per item po nila. Item 2.0, architectural works for ramp, railing, signages, and thermal scan booth. 2.05, doors and windows. Under item 3.0, plumbing works, and these shall include site works, sewer line system, water line system, storm drainage system. Under item 3.0, plumbing works, yung composition po nito, kasama din po yung septic tank and catch basin, elevator pit, and indoor landscape. Electrical works, lighting and power, air conditioning, unit power supply, background music and public address system, fire detection and alarm system, communication and data system, CCTV and FIDS system. Under item 4.0, with sub-item 4.07 up to 4.14. Item 5.0, mechanical works, SPL2, temporary facilities. These shall include staff house and service vehicle. So, all scope of work for the project must be in accordance with approved plans and specifications. Quality and types of materials must be approved by the BAC project. By the CAAP project in charge. Sorry. So, for the general provisions for this project, provisions of staff house, service vehicle, laptops, printers, camera, plotters, furniture, and other materials, devices, and equipment under special item or temporary facilities shall not include OCM. It should not include, OCM and contractor's profit. The contractor shall be responsible in providing safety perimeter fence or security fence, personal protective equipment for staff and workers on site while construction is ongoing. Safety reports should be prepared regularly. Contractor shall be responsible for all laboratory, material testing, building, and safety permits and survey instruments necessary in the project implementation. These expenses shall be incorporated in the contractor's overhead cost and shall not be considered as pay item. Um, Here is the site development for the Ozamiz Airport. So ito po yung interiors perspective po ng airport. Mabibigyan din po kayo nito kapag kasama na to sa mga plans and drawings na ibibigay po na naka-USP. Pwede po siyang makuha sa BAC Secretariat po ng CAAP. So this is a perspective. And this is a site development plan. Ito po, dito po yung magiging passenger terminal building na igagawin. So, that would be all. And at this point, the technical working group together with the end user are now ready to accept questions and clarifications from our prospective bidders, Mr. Chair. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, Attorney Frank. At this juncture, let's open the floor for all queries, any and all queries regarding the presented documents for this bidding. Should you have questions, kindly introduce yourselves and to the company that you represent before proceeding with your questions. All right, go ahead. Do you have any questions or clarifications?
Good afternoon, Attorney.
Yes, sir.
I'm Engineer Uy, representing Dyson Construction and Trading Corporation. I have some questions. Can I proceed?
Yes po, sir.
Yes, sorry. Okay, number one, as of the moment we are trying to request from BAC, BAC the plans. Sabi nila wala pa po until now, and we really need those plans kasi we understand we have only until Monday to make a letter or clarification. So can we be assured na at least by Monday on first hour we can already request have the plans if we will go to the BAC office?
If I may respond to that, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Attorney Frank.
Engineer Uy, the plans and drawings po are now available sa back office po namin. In fact po, if you will request po, readily available naman po, and our end user has already confirmed here na nakapagbigay na sila ngayon sa back secretariat po natin. So sir, pwede na po kayong kumuha ng plans and drawings.
Yeah. Okay. This morning, our staff went there to the office. Sabi wala pa daw, and then they will email to us daw. But until today, this very moment, walang nag-email. But we went there this morning to request for the plans.
Yes, sir. We will look into that, sir. As soon as kino-confirm po ng end user po ngayon yung and we will forward it to your office, to your email address, sir, kung nakapag-provide na kayo sa back office, sir, ng email address mo.
Yes. Thank you, Attorney. I have other question.
Go ahead po, sir.
Okay. I'm sorry, no, kasi right now we haven't seen the plan yet, but regarding this, we have an item of elevator and escalator system. Maybe as an advance info, can our end user explain to us what's the system? Do we need to install an elevator or escalator in this project?
Attorney Frank, maybe someone from the end user can answer.
Mr. Chair, end user architect Emerson Salas is here, and he's ready to provide the necessary information as requested by Dyson Construction, sir.
Sir, good afternoon po. Regarding po dun sa elevator and escalator po, sir, yun po ba yung tanong nyo kung ano pong klaseng system?
Yeah. Yes.
Sandali lang po, sir. Karen, can you give background information information regarding dun sa elevator and ano?
Yes, sir. Sir Emmer. Good afternoon, Engineer Uy. Regarding the mechanical works po under the provision of supply and installation of escalator and elevator, for the phase 1 project po, it is not included in the scope of work, but the scope of work is, I think, included in the phase 2 project po. So for phase 1, wala pong ipoprovide pa na elevator. The scope of mechanical works for phase 1 is exclusive for ventilation works and fire protection system po.
Okay, Attorney Frank. Kasi po, in our BOQ, we have this item 4.08, elevator and escalator system, 77 linear meters.
Sir, under electrical works po ito, no? Item 4.08,
Yes,
elevator and escalator system.
yes, yes.
We will contact, sir, our electrical and mechanical engineer to provide you the exact specification and the specification for the required escalator and elevator para estimate yun rin, sir, yung electrical requirements mo.
Engineer Uy, mag-add lang po ako doon. Yung lahat yung requirements po natin dyan sa phase 1, yung kung item po ng elevator and escalator, yung mga electrical wiring supply lang po yung included po dyan. So yung pong pinaka-escalator and elevator po natin, hindi pa po kasama. So mga abang na power supply po at saka yung system lang po niya. Tsaka yung
Okay, okay.
elevator shaft, mga ganun po. Yun lang po yung pinaka nakaabang po din. Kasama po, included po dun sa scope of work po natin.
Okay, sige. Noted po. So these are all the conduits and the power supply for this system.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Yes,
you. Sir, meron pa po isa. Regarding the pile driving works, we have 443 sets at 12 meters. When you say set, is it one piece of piles? That's
sir, one
400.
piece of
So bali, there are 443 pieces ng
21
piles,
meters.
21 meters
22,
long.
Sir,
22
for
meters.
12.
Karen, can you please clarify yung question niya, no? Ni sir?
Yes, sir. Engineer Uy, as provided po sa ating bill of quantities for the pile driving works, the contractor is required to provide 400 millimeter by 400 millimeter of depth of 22 meters with the total quantity of 443 sets.
Okay. Oh. Okay, thank you. Noted pa.
Yun din po.
Okay. Sorry, Attorney Frank, can I still have two more questions?
Go ahead po, sir. Please proceed with all the questions. Thank you.
Okay. 5.01, the BOQ says 50 sets. However, dun sa bill of materials and cost estimate form, it says one lot. So, dapat the same unit po sila. Can we be clarified? 5.01.
Sir, bali po yung one lot sa 5.01, kumbaga total na po yan lahat ng ng item na naka-declare. Actually, iba-iba po siyang item. Yung 50 na nakalagay po dyan, iba-iba po siyang item. So, hindi po kaya po naka one lot po. Meron pong one lot na naka-declare po dyan. Hindi po siya isang item lang. So, iba-iba po siya. Yung
Opo,
specification niya po dyan, magkakaiba po.
Yes po, we saw those items, no? Different kinds of mga exhaust fans and all these things. Kaso lang po, if we will put these things one by one dun sa bill of materials and cost estimate, then since one lot po yung nandun sa taas, so all these things will come at parang lump sum. Pero if we'll project it dun sa BOQ, 50 sets po yung nandun dun sa BOQ. So it's either one lump sum din dapat yung nasa BOQ if we may suggest.
Sige po sir, we will look onto that na kung kung may changes po na gagawin po doon, ibibid bulletin na lang po kung kailangan po yung may mga aayusin po doon. Sige po sir, noted po. Titingnan po namin po yung item na yan.
Yes, sir. And then another po 1.06 sa scope of work it says 40 cubic meter yung concrete, while in BOQ it's 48 square meter. So may inconsistency, the other one is cubic meter, the other one is square meter.
Sige po sir,
One
i-review po
point
namin
zero.
yan. Kung ma-review po namin, include po namin sa bid bulletin.
Okay. Thank you so much. Yun lang po, Attorney Frank. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other queries from other bidders, prospective bidders?
Good afternoon po, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Can you just introduce yourself po and the company you represent? Thank you.
I am Strilin Joy Inocencio from Divlarn Ventures. I have a question po regarding po sa special condition of contract, clause 13, regarding po sa advance payment. Now, however, as per Department of Transportation policy, procuring entity will not give advance payment to the contractors. Tama po ba?
Attorney Frank, can we
If
answer?
I may respond to that.
Go ahead.
Yes po ma'am, tama po ma'am. Naglabas po ng department order po ang Department of Transportation po, and considering that this is a DOTR downloaded project, lahat po ng projects po namin, we do not provide yung advance payment po. So hindi po kami nag-a-advance payment ma'am. Tama po yan, yung clause na yan ma'am.
Sige po. So, bali po, milestone lang po or progress billing.
Yes po ma'am, progress billing po tayo ma'am.
Sige po.
Wala
Noted po.
Wala pong advance payment po na ginagawa po.
Okay po. Thank you po.
You're welcome ma'am.
Through the chair, may tanong lang po kami sa Dyson. I-clarify lang po yung query niya.
Tayo magtatanong sa Tyson?
Opo sir, i-clarify lang po yung item.
Sige. Go ahead.
Engineer Oy.
Opo, yes sir.
I-clarify lang po namin yung conflicting na numbers. Anong items po yun?
Okay, 1.06 yung sa RMU concreting. The scope of work is 48 cubic meters while the BOQ is 48 square meters.
Thank you, Engineer Oy.
The other ones is 5.01 yung ventilation system.
Thank you po.
The BOQ is 50 sets, while in the bill of materials and the cost estimate form is or DUPA is one lot.
Thank you po.
Thank you.
All right. Okay na. Do you have any further queries?
Okay na po, Mr. Chair. Salamat po.
Sige. For all the bidders and also those viewing this on the live feed, you have the opportunity to file your to submit your queries in written form until 10 days prior to the scheduled opening, which is also 17, no, Frank? Same? So
Yes, sir.
the
Yes, sir.
so you can submit your questions in writing until Monday, and we will answer them. So just to ask again online, do we have anything else to ask? Kung wala na po, we'll wrap it up so that we can move forward. Feel free po to just to send your written queries to our back secretariat. Thank you. Maraming salamat. Let's close this item already.
Okay, thank you,
Let's move
sir.
on.
Thank you, attorneys. Thank you
Sige,
po.
maraming salamat, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maraming salamat po.
Thank you po.
Okay. Attorney Frank, proceeding to the next item on the agenda, you have 2 items to present.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Sir, we are to present the outcome of the post-qualification evaluation for the Antique Airport, and the second item is on the Zamboanga Airport Development Project, sir. Sir, permission?
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, Attorney Frank, with the
Okay, sir.
presentation.
Sharing my document. So, again, good afternoon, sir, to our back chair. Good afternoon, Captain Don, and to all the members of the Bids and Awards Committee. Charlie, good afternoon. I will be presenting the output of the technical working group for the Antique Airport Development Project CY 2021 post-qualification process. So, this is for the widening of runway markings, runway shoulder, grade correction, provision of stopway, and RESA, and provision of manhole RCPC. The approved budget for the contract is 95,721,536 pesos and 6 centavos. And we opened the submitted bids last September 29 at CAAP conference room. The name of the lowest calculated bidder for this is the GA Flores Construction Incorporated in the calculated amount of 71,834,481 pesos and 81 centavos. So here are the findings of first, for the eligibility documents, PhilJEP Certificate of Registration. The submission of GA Flores is responsive. They submitted a PhilJEP's Certificate of Registration, which is valid until May 7, 2022. Certificate of, second item is a Certificate of Registration from the SEC. The bidder, GA Flores, submitted the Certificate of Registration from the SEC, and it is dated March 30, 1987, so it is responsive. For the mayor or business permit, the submission is responsive. They submitted the mayor's permit, which was issued by the local government of Baguio, January 14, 2021, and it is valid until December 21, 2020. December 31, 2021. For tax clearance, the tax clearance certificate is attached or submitted by GA Flores is valid until December 22, 2021, and thus it is responsive to our requirements. For the valid pickup license, the requirement for this project is medium A license category B for roads, highway, pavement, railways, airports, horizontal structures, and bridges. And the submission of GA Flores is medium B license category A. So this is way higher than the required license, and the pickup license is valid until 30 June 2022. so it is responsive. For the statement of all ongoing government and private contracts, GA Flores submitted 3 ongoing government projects with no slippages more than -15 and no slippages more than -10. So the submission is responsive. For the statement identifying the bidder's single largest completed contract, they submitted the project entitled Land Development Works Summerfield Subdivision, and the nature of this project is earthworks, civil works, road works, drainage system, and water system, which is similar to the contract to be bid. And the project cost is 75,070,000. This project, the contract amount is more than 50% of the ABC of the project. So the SLCC is responsive. For the audited financial statement, the submitted AFS is for the fiscal year 2019-2020, and it was stamped received by the BIR, and it is dated 12 April 2021, so it is responsive. For the bidder's computation of net financial contracting capacity, the NFCC of GA Flores in the amount of 877,478,004 pesos and 36 centavos, which is more than the ABC of the contract. So this is responsive. Joint venture agreement is not applicable in this particular case. For the technical documents, bid security form, GA Flores submitted a duly notarized bid securing declaration, so it is responsive. For the organizational chart for the contract to be bid, the submitted required minimum technical personnel as per invitation to bid was met, so it is responsive. For the list of contractors personnel, the submission is also responsive since the minimum required technical personnel as per invitation to bid is corresponds to the requirement of the project. For the list of contractors' equipment, the submission met the minimum required equipment as per invitation to bid. For the omnibus sworn statement, they submitted a duly notarized sworn statement, so it is responsive. Attached to the omnibus sworn statement is the certificate of site inspection issued to Mr. John Michael Albro on September 23, 2021, which was issued by Mr. Juanito Tanchico, the airport manager of the Antique Airport, so it is responsive. For the photocopy of the company ID, the submission of GA Flores is responsive. They attached the company ID of the one who conducted the site inspection, Mr. John Michael Albro. Photocopy of airport visitors logbook. They also attached the CAAP logbook of Antique Airport with the entry name Mr. John Michael Albro of GA Flores, so it is responsive. So bid bulletin is not applicable also for this. For the financial document, the second envelope, the financial bid form, the offered bid is in the amount of 71,834,481 pesos and 81 centavos. After the bid evaluation, the same amount was generated. So the calculated bid and the submitted bid, pareho lang po. So, but the difference from the ABC in the amount of 23,887,054 pesos and 25 centavos. So this is responsive since it is below the ABC. Bill of quantities, the submission is in accordance with the Philippine Bidding Documents, Philippine Bidding Documents Section 9, bidding form, so it is responsive. For bid proposal, the submission is also in accordance with the Philippine Bidding Forms, so it is responsive. Detailed estimates, GA Flores submitted the detailed estimates in accordance with the bidding forms of Section 9, so it is responsive. Summary sheet indicating construction materials, labor rates, and equipment rates. These are all the submission are all in accordance with the bidding forms, so it is responsive. Cash flow by quarter and payment scheduled, it is responsive. The submission is also in accordance with the bidding forms as evaluated by the technical working group. So during post-qualification, they submitted within the prescribed period the required documents as indicated in the post-qualification letter. So they submitted number 1, the latest income tax business business tax returns. So the submission is for the period December 2020, and we verify this, and these are regular. So it is responsive. For other appropriate licenses and permits, they submitted an updated PhilJEP's registration, renewed pickup license with signature, certificate of registration, mayor's permit, and tax clearance. So these are all responsive. Audited financial statement, they submitted the financial statement for fiscal year 2019-2020, and this AFS was stamped received by BIR on 12 April 2021, so it is responsive. For the key personnel and licenses, all the submitted licenses are updated, and they are all regular as verified during the post-qualification visit. So the submission is responsive. So with that, the bid proposal of GA Flores was evaluated to have offered the lowest calculated responsive bid, since they complied all the required legal, technical, and financial requirements. Since the submitted and calculated bid price of GA Flores in the amount of 71,834,481 pesos and 81 centavos. So based on our findings, the technical working group are recommending for the award of the contract for the Antique Airport Development Project, widening of runway marking, runway shoulder grade correction, provision of stopway, RESA, and provision of manhole RCPC to GA Flores Construction Incorporated, being the lowest calculated responsive bid in the amount of 71,834,481 pesos and 81 centavos for consideration and approval of the committee, the Bids and Awards Committee, Charlie. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, Attorney Frank, for that presentation. Can we scroll down to the recommendation part?
I'll just reshare my screen, sir.
Sige. Meanwhile, at this point, let's open the discussion for the members. Do you have any questions or clarifications for this presentation? If there's none, maybe we can have, well, as Attorney Frank flashes it, maybe we can have a motion if there's no objections. So the recommendation presented is for the award of the contract for the Antique Airport Development Project for I2 GA Flores Construction Incorporated, for having been determined as the lowest calculated responsive bid in the amount of 71,834,481 pesos and 81 cents. Do we hear a motion?
Sir, to the chair.
Yes, Ma'am Joyce.
Yes, sir. I would recommend the award of the contract for the contract of Antique Airport Development Project to GA Flores Construction, being the lowest calculated responsive bid, the amount of 71,834,481.81, as recommended by the TWG.
Thank you, Ma'am. Is there any second?
I second the motion, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ma'am Fanny. There being motion duly seconded, the recommendation of the TWG for the award of the contract for Antique Airport Development Project to GA Flores Construction Incorporated is hereby adopted. So this is for presentation still to the board.
Yes, Mr. Chair,
All right.
considering that the ABC of the project is more than 50 million, sir.
All right. Considering that the head of procuring entity for this project is the board of directors, this will be presented for their approval on the next board meeting on the 25th of November, Attorney Frank. Thank you.
Noted, sir.
Let's
Thank you,
move
sir.
forward to the last item.
Sir, the last item is for the explanation with a recommendation from the technical working group, sir, for the Zamboanga Airport Developments Project. Be it noted, Mr. Chair, that we already presented this one, and we will be last October 22, and we are directed to provide recommendations for the back consideration. So here, for the benefit of the new members of the newly reconstituted Bids and Awards Committee, we will be presenting again, sir, the justification on why there was a perceived delay in the presentation of the bid evaluation for the Zamboanga Airport Development Project. So, again, sir, first we would like to highlight, sir, the procurement timelines for this particular project. So the pre-procurement conference was held last September 6, and the pre-bidding conference was held last September 15. We opened the submitted bids last September 9, and the technical working group is given 7 calendar days after the opening of bids to come up with the bid evaluation report and present it to the technical and present to the Bids and Awards Committee for consideration. So, as clearly provided in section 32.4, that the technical work, the entire evaluation process for the bid evaluation shall only be 7 calendar days upon receipt of the proposals. So since we opened last September 29, the TWG should have completed the evaluation by October 6, and it was only 2 weeks after that that the technical working group presented the output of the outcome of the bid evaluation. So here are the reasons for the delay. Well, of course, sir, we are conscious of the maximum allowable period per procurement activity as provided in the IRR. We duly note of those timelines, and however, during that time, considering the series of opening of bids for various airport projects undertaken by BAC Charlie, it has been a challenge for the technical working group to meet the prescribed timeline without compromising the quality of the evaluation. So here, we just want to show for the appreciation of the BAC that we also have the following projects which are equally important and urgent projects that we opened and evaluated that time simultaneously. So we have for Tacloban, Ozamiz, Antique, Bukidnon, Basco, and Baler. So it is the persisting objective of the TWG to firmly allow to follow the procurement rules and regulations, but with the limited members of the TWG vis-a-vis the voluminous documents being evaluated and reviewed simultaneously, there are occasions that we failed to strictly observe the timeline. So it is admitted that there are instances that we failed to comply with the timeline. To point out an example, for the Tacloban Airport, it took us almost 2 weeks to process the evaluation, considering the volume of documents, which is more or less 500 pages per document. And we believe, sir, that this is something that we cannot do that cannot be done within just 7 days, as we meticulously go line by line, and we have to um, go through exchanges of documents.
Excuse me,
Yes,
Attorney
sir.
Frank. If I may recall, we had a little bit of an argument with ADMS with regard to DUPA. I believe there was a manifestation wherein DUPA was being used by DPWH, of which we just copied. Do we really need that DUPA? So why am I seeing DUPA?
Sir, if I may respond, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. Sir, in all other projects, sir, we are not using the DUPA anymore, except for the Tacloban, sir, because this project was the preparation of the bid documents as well as the program of works was being done by a third party. So the documents, the bid documents, sir, were prepared by third party. So we just used the document for the Tacloban, sir.
Okay, okay.
Sorry, you're using the document for Tacloban for Zamboanga?
No, sir. This is just like an example, sir, on why we
For a different,
yeah.
for a different bidding.
Yeah, this is just
Okay.
an example, sir, on why it took us.
Okay. Sige, sige.
So while we are, what we're trying to stress here, sir, is that while we are doing the review and the evaluation of the Zamboanga proposals, we are also at the same time reviewing the Tacloban proposals, which consist of like voluminous documents. So that's why we cited just here, sir, some example. If I may continue, sir. Yeah. So apparently, the bid evaluation may have been completed more than what is provided in the RIRR, but the overall procurement period of the project is still within the allowable time. So we are trying to stress here, sir, that while, yes, the bid evaluation exceeded more than 7 days, however, the entire the entire procurement proceedings is still within the timeline as allowed by the IRR. The TWG assures that the submitted proposals went under the rigorous scrutiny and the evaluation is fairly conducted. So, again, sir, upon the instructions, here are our recommendations. The collective output of the technical working group. So first, as a way forward and in order for the similar incident not to happen again, the technical working group respectfully recommends the following. Number 1, inclusion of provisional members, TWG members, to augment the number of technical personnel and assist in the conduct of bid evaluation and post-qualification process. So considering that we are konti lang po kami. So second is that the calculated scheduling of procurement activities ay BAC Secretariat in order for the TWG to have ample time in the conduct of for the review of evaluation, the preparation of documents. The reason for this, sir, is that may mga projects na nagsabay-sabay yung mga opening, hindi siya na properly timed. So kung mayroon lang sanang space in between,
Excuse me, Frank.
Yes, sir.
Who schedules the mga back nito, mga pre-bid, posting of who does the schedule?
If I may, Mr. Chair, it is the BAC Secretariat that schedules this procurement activities, sir. BAC Secretariat, sir. Kami po, yes po.
Oh, so seeing that, this one of the explanations of Attorney Frank So medyo may problema tayo sa management of time. Kasi natatambakan sila eh. So kindly look into that please. Kung pwede nyo i-partner yung one big ticket and one small ticket, kasi pag pinagsabay natin yung mga big tickets na to, ay talaga naman.
We will note that, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
and
thank
we will
you.
arrange the schedules.
So, if I may continue, sir. Lastly, to allow the TWG to present the outcome of the bid evaluation for consideration and approval of the BAC. Otherwise, the BAC may recommend to the head of procuring entity or the HOPE to invoke Section 41B or the reservation clause of the RIRR, which expressly provides that the HOPE reserves the right to reject any and all bids, declare a failure of bidding, or not award a contract in the following situation. And in this case, it falls under letter B if the BAC is found to have failed in following the prescribed procedures. However, sir, the application of Section 421B would result in the declaration of failure of bidding due to non-observance of the prescribed procurement activity timeline for the completion of the evaluation process. However, sir, the ABC of the project, considering that the ABC of the project is more than 50 million, the hope of this project is the CAAP board. So it would require us to present to the board on the grounds for on the reason why we are invoking the reservation clause, and it is for their approval, sir.
Secretariat, just to confirm, all that's inside the meeting are Secretariat and TWG?
Yes, sir.
Do we have observers
Yes, sir. We still have observers online, sir.
who are from COA and UTR?
Yes, sir. From COA and the OTR.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Vice. You know what? This really caught my attention because of the delay. Kasi alam nyo naman na every time na pumunta sa Zamboanga, inireklamo ang runway. Na semento nga natin both ends, and then ito na lang yung nakapiranggot na naiwan sa gitna, yun pa yung masama. So every time na lang na may pumunta doon, nirereklamo. And then we are getting this delay. So it really caught my attention. Kasi akong tinatamaan eh. Tapos ako pa yung chairman. So any comments? Any comments, suggestions from the other members of the board, please?
Through the chair.
Ma'am Joyce? Ma'am Joyce?
Opo. Sir, yes, sir. Sir, clarify ko lang, sir, tama po ba for post-qual na lang itong sa Zamboanga? Na, ano?
Bid eval pa lang, ma'am. Bid evaluation pa lang.
Bid evaluation. Okay. Sa akin, sir, I go for the recommendation of the TWG for the augmentation of their personnel na conduct ng activity na evaluation. Rather than itong number 3 na meron tayong declaring ng failure of bidding.
That's a good suggestion, Joyce. But if we have to vote for this, although hindi lang naman ito ang delay, let us be ready. Remember, last year, nakuha tayo dito. Meron tayong report, may findings tayo dito. And then this is just a repetition. I'm not saying na i-failure or anything. Ang sinasabi ko lang, let's be ready for the outcome. Joy's suggestion is fine. So, anybody else, please?
Through the chair. As a member as well, I'm just worried more on really, as you mentioned, the repercussions for having allowed this to spill over for a long time already. If I recall, we've had similar cases before wherein the board actually allowed the exercise of reservation clause precisely because we did not want to be perceived as prolonging the process in view of favoring a specific bidder, which we all really do not want. Kaya for me, sir, I think it's also okay, sir, for us to exercise the reservation clause, or rather to recommend the exercise of the reservation clause to the Hope, considering that there is a valid ground and there is a legal ground to do so. It's not without basis for us to raise it. In fact, under under the GPPB rules for this, under reservation clause, letter B is the ground is for the declaration in view of the BAC's failure to follow the prescribed procedures. So my recommendation, Mr. Chair, is to exercise the reservation clause for this project. Maybe we can hear po from Ma'am Vani and Ma'am Dayan.
To the chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I also believe that we should go with the reservation clause, letter B.
Through the chair.
Yes, go ahead, Ma'am Bani.
Yes, sir. I also go with the recommendation of the vice since the initial recommendation would still delay the process. So might as well proceed in as much as it is acceptable that the Hope reserves the right to reject any of the bids in the stated reasons that the BAC is found to have failed the prescribed procedures. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ma'am Bani.
All right. In behalf of the chair, considering that the members have already expressed their opinion and stand on this, let's no longer proceed with the presentation as recommended, Attorney Frank, and let's prepare that endorsement to the Hope, which is the Board of Directors, adopting this recommendation of the TWG. Okay?
Yes, sir. We will prepare all the necessary documents for presentation to the board, sir.
For my consumption lang, ilan ba ang bidders nito?
Allow me, sir, to pull up the
I just need the numbers. I don't need the names.
tahanan, sir, ha? Documents. 8 bidders, sir.
8.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, ganun na lang, Attorney Frank, so we can resolve this, and let's just wait for the Hope's decision on this. But as the recommendatory body, the BAC shall endorse this matter for their deliberation and consideration. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Is there anything else for today, Attorney Frank?
None, Mr. Chair.
None also from the Secretariat, Mr. Chair.
Okay, if there's no longer any items in the agenda, we can adjourn. Secretariat, what's the next meeting? When is the next meeting?
Next meeting, sir, is on Monday at 3 p.m., sir.
Alright. Sige. So there being no more items in the agenda, let's adjourn the meeting. Maraming salamat po for everyone. Please be mindful of the schedule for next meeting, which is Monday. Hope to see you there. Magandang hapon po. Ma'am Vani, Ma'am Dayan, Ma'am Joyce, maraming salamat po.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, attorney.